Hello, world, and welcome to the inaugural episode of ARM TV. ARM TV live streams are regular live episodes that cover the most interesting, disruptive technologies facing developers in the near future. Our speakers are notable visionaries and innovators who delve into the latest technologies shaping the future of computing, their impact, and how to make them work for you. My name is Robert Wolf.
And I'm Mary Benyon. Robert and I are your co-hosts for today. And today's speaker is none other than Dr. Anousheh Ansari, who will guide us through an exploration of the fascinating and rapidly evolving landscape of generative AI. Advancements in AI are moving so quickly that it's difficult to understand where things are going and what the potential implications and impact to the world this technology will bring. And in case you don't already know, Anousheh is a pioneering figure in the world of technology. She's not only a successful entrepreneur and CEO of XPRIZE, but also an astronaut and a passionate advocate for the advancement of science and technology. She's here to provide us with an insightful overview of the dynamics and ever-changing world of generative AI.
Thank you, Mary, and to everyone watching. We hope you all enjoy the next hour with us, as we will be doing many more streams like this in the coming months. So please do keep an eye on the ARM Developer Hub events webpage, where you will be able to register for future ARM TV live streams. Now, following this live stream, we will be making this video available on demand through the ARM Software Developers YouTube channel. Please check it out and feel free to share this with your fellow developers. Also, don't forget to subscribe. As a reminder, we have opened a channel in the ARM Developer Discord server specifically for this event. So please take a moment and head on over to our Discord server, following the link below. Here you can participate in a live chat with your fellow attendees, Mary and I, throughout the live stream and beyond. So we'll be there talking about this episode, most likely for the upcoming month. Post any questions you have, and we'll do our best to bring them to our guest in the Q&A section of this event. Now, Mary, other than my little word fumbles, I think we covered everything there.
Word fumbles are fine, and yes, I think you covered everything. I'm really excited to be here with you and be able to host this. I was thinking how lucky you and I are. We have like the best jobs at ARM right now, because not only do we get to host this inaugural reboot of ARM TV, but we get to hang out with Anousheh, which is kind of amazing, because some initial thoughts of mine on Anousheh is she's seen Earth from space, and it's like not a photograph. Very few people in the world have seen that.
Sometimes I forget that we get paid for this. I would do it even though I wasn't. Yeah. So Anousheh, I mean, having her on this stream, like, I'm thoroughly excited, probably, fanboying a little bit on this one, because with so much experience that she has had comes, immense foresight. And so I look forward to hearing about her ideas on where AI is headed, which is the main subject of this particular live stream. So I think Mary, should we probably bring her in now?
We can, yes. Hi, Anousheh.
Okay. Hello,
Hello.
Anousheh.
Great to
Hello,
be with
welcome
you.
to ARM TV.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
Yeah, so I think just to kind of get things started, right, we should just dive right into this. You have an amazing presentation. You've spent a lot of time preparing for all of our attendees. But before we kind of, hand things over to you, is there anything you would like our attendees to know about what you're about to cover?
Not really, just that I hope what I'm presenting will make them think very hard, scratch their head, and form their own opinion on what's happening. It's happening rapidly, and it's changing landscape every day.
Awesome. Great. So
cool. Well,
great. So
I think let's get started. Over to you, Dr. Ansari.
Thank you. So it's great to be with you. As you know, I'm CEO of XPRIZE Foundation, and one of the wonderful jobs that I have is to run this 29-year-old nonprofit, which is focused on accelerating innovation toward building an equitable world of abundance for all. Basically, what we hope to do with our work is to shape the future versus being victims of the future. XPRIZE was founded by Peter Diamandis, and at the core we believe that any breakthrough before it was a breakthrough, it's a crazy idea, and we look for those crazy ideas that can become the breakthroughs that shape our future. I'd love to share a video that describes what we do at XPRIZE better than I can in 2 minutes.
The XPRIZE Foundation runs incredible large-scale competitions around the world that set very clear, measurable, objective goals. The first person to build, demonstrate this capability wins the prize money, and the world gets the benefits.
Anousheh Ansari is the CEO of XPRIZE, which sponsors competition to solve the world's challenges.
Competitions and prizes can actually bring innovation to solve not just any problem, but really big, challenging problems.
I think we're about setting a high bar. We want to set a goal for people that's inspiring. It's also hard.
When we're designing an XPRIZE, we're looking for something that is audacious and achievable.
Goals that are far beyond where the industry is.
Problems that the markets have failed to solve.
To help people really dig into their imaginations. Creativity is everywhere.
We don't care who you are or where you come from. If you're able to accomplish this task, you win, and that's it.
1,000 years ago, it was only the kings and queens who could do anything on a national or regional level. Today, it's all of us. Anyone who's truly passionate, driven by a massively transformative purpose, can go and make a change in the world.
We are leveraging the genius of people from all over the world.
The thinkers, the entrepreneurs, the engineers.
People who are not satisfied with the way things are and know that it can be better.
It's all around hopefulness. It's all about collaboration.
Prizes are not about competition, they're about impact. And there is no better and more powerful tool to do it, in our opinion, than a prize itself.
I've seen things go from a paper plane to an actual spaceship.
We've seen private spaceflight revolution.
$300 million invested in the lunar economy. Over 10 million kids integrated into STEM education.
Technology that increased the rate of cleaning up oil spills.
Technology to help keep people safe.
To make sure everyone is healthy.
Feeding people, educating people, cleaning the air, exploring the oceans or space. We're changing what people believe is possible.
We want to have an ideal future, and it's up to us to build it.
So no matter what challenge you want to solve, join us on this journey. Just don't be satisfied doing nothing.
So we've been around for a while, so we have a great track record. We've launched over $300 million worth of competitions. We have another $300 million coming up. Lots of exciting prizes, so keep an eye on the work we're doing there. We have competitors from around the world because we believe in democratizing innovation, and we believe that ideas can come from anywhere around the world. And this prize money, the $300 million, has really brought in $2 billion worth of investment by the teams to win that prize. So there is a leverage that comes with this type of competitions that we build on it. We do our work in 7 domains. Biodiversity and conservation, climate and energy is a very big part of our work. Health domain is another active area. Of course, deep tech, AI, quantum. I'll talk a little bit more about that area, and that's why I keep an eye on what's happening in this area. And learning, education, society, future of work. Space and exploration is where we got our start, and also food, water, waste. So these are all the areas that impacts our future and future of humanity. So let's dive into AI and generative AI and all sorts of good stuff. I wanted to start with this chart. I know it's an eye chart. I'll dive in a little bit more. But this basically is from the World in Data and shows that how innovation has shaped human history and how innovation has accelerated. Early on, not much was happening, and then you saw the ticks on this chart increasing, and also going into a more of an exponential curve. And in the last 2 centuries, if we look at what's been happening, changes have been happening a lot faster. If I just think about my lifetime and what's been happening, I am older than you may think. I've seen so many things change that I couldn't even imagine or fathom. But recently, you've seen, with mobility, internet, connectivity changing, smartphones, and our ability to connect the world together. Then AI, computing, and CRISPR technology, all of this. And, I believe that there's more to happen in our lifetime that we can't even imagine, and our world will be unrecognizable. And if you are a teenager now, and by the time you get to be my age, you actually may not be recognizable. Not only the world won't be recognizable, but you may not be recognizable. And you probably will, your 100-year-old will look more like your 20-year-old. So a lot has been changing. And this is, as you probably all know, been riding on the, the curve of Moore's law in compute. And we've seen basically this doubling every approximately 2 years. And this change in compute and massive increase in computing power and miniaturization and lowering of the cost of compute is what has been driving this massive exponential growth in innovation. And, if you just look at the between the Industrial Revolution and when the light bulb was invented, it went, 120 years went by. And then another 120 years from that point was when World Wide Web was introduced. But only about 9 years after that is when we had the first human genome sequence. In 2015, we reached the compute power equivalent of a mouse brain. And just in 2023, just recently, we achieved the compute power of a single human brain. And the prediction is by 2045, which is not that far, and I'll be alive, hopefully, we will actually have the compute power of the entire human race. I mean, this is a game changer. And this is just 20 years from now. And we will all be around, hopefully, to witness this. And, who knows, this may happen even sooner. When we look at AI is, here to stay. It's embedded in our everyday life, whether we know it or not, whether it's, if we allow it or not. These are just some of the examples that you can see, how you get credit or a loan is decided by AI, whether you get a job or you get hired, decided by AI. Who gets released from jail or who gets jailed now, it's somewhat decided by AI. We have AI-assisted doctors in surgery, in medical records and imaging system. And also, actually, that may be a good thing because I've been through the healthcare system recently, so I'm happy AI is there. And also in our cars, it's beeping at you every time you get out of your lane or when you want to park or you get too close to the car in front of you. And, more and more you saw some examples of, offensive and defensive use of AI by the governments in autonomous weapons and surveillance systems. AI also decides what we watch, what we hear, the news we consume. It's the recommendation engines are everywhere. And increasingly, the content that is put in front of our eyes is decided by AI, and our virtual assistants like Alexa and Siri are constantly listening and learning from us in everything we do and the decisions we make. But what's extra unique and also something that we need to be aware of is how fast ChatGPT is propagating and also the power of it. So it's not only now the generative AI is AI is capable of recommending to us, but it's now generating the content for us and very quickly, and it can generate content in mass. And what's important to note here is that how fast it's been propagating in our population. So ChatGPT reached 1 million users in just 5 days, and 100 million in just 2 months. I mean, if we look back, Instagram, it took 2.5 years for it to reach 100 million. TikTok, about 9 months. So this is massive increase in consumption of this type of technology. Let's go back and look at now just a little bit what happened with AI. So AI history is almost as old as computers themselves, and it goes back to the 1950s. And lots of hypes throughout this time, lots of AI winters, some of it we lived through, I lived through it. So it's easy now to look at this, and I hear people already say there's hype. Of course, there's always hype, but we shouldn't dismiss what's happening because it's unlike what has happened in the past. And the reason it's different and what we should take into account is where we are on the Morse curve law. So we are at the point that there's a massive amount of computing power available. So things that would slow us down and stop us, now it's available. The other important factor is that we're living in a digital information age. So the amount of data that we have and is available and it can be consumed by these models is massive. And data is the food for AI and what it feeds on and grows. So these are some differentiating factors that is unique to the time we live in right now. And AI was created sort of on our fascination of replicating human behavior and knowledge and decision making. And it's been the basis of the development of AI. And we want to create machines that do what we do. And the litmus test for that is to test the intelligence of the machine against the intelligence of human being, the Turing test, basically. And of course, sometimes I'm thinking about, is that really the right thing to do? Because I question our own intelligence sometimes with the decisions that we make. But early on, AI systems were designed based on sort of simple task recognition and task replication and things that were done on concrete decision trees. And the AI was trained to perform a specific task and go down a specific decision trees that we could define clearly. And for example, if we trained it to how to play chess and gave it all the rules, it would play chess really good. It would beat us at playing chess, but it could not play tic-tac-toe. So it was very task-oriented. But when we started going into new models, training systems one task at a time was very inefficient. And the new system, we had to look at new ways of training these new systems and focus on self-learning so they can learn on their own. And this required an enormous amount of data, and it required a feedback loop. We basically, for example, for image recognition, we would show the AI many different pictures of a cat, and it would make mistakes in recognition sometimes, and it would correct it, and sort of every time it was corrected, it would learn and do better and better and better, and then grow from there. It could be done with data, could be text, it could be voice, it could be images. And this basically was a memorizing vast amount of data, but not understanding it and not having a context around it. The system really didn't have a concept of a cat and what a cat represented. But later on, we moved to models where we were basically prediction models. And this meant that, it had to understand context. And that's where deep learning era started. So before I dive deeper into this, I want to just get our terminology synced together. So when I talk about machine learning, it's a branch of AI that focuses on using data and algorithms to basically imitate the way humans learn and gradually improving on its accuracy without a specific instruction. So they're doing it through self-learning. Deep learning is a subset of machine learning, and it focuses on training AI neural networks with different layers. So deep learning models, which includes the large language models, are trained on large data sets, and this way they learn complex representations and relationships within the data. Generative AI models are built on deep learning techniques and is in broad term, it encompasses AI system that their primary function is to generate content. And these systems can create various types of content like images, text, code, and audio. Large language models are a type of generative AI systems that basically specialize in working with language. And they utilize deep learning techniques like transformer architecture to capture the intricate patterns and relationship within a text. So basically, they predict what comes next. This is another eye chart from Our World in Data. I love this site and highly recommend, if you're a data geek, go there and explore all sorts of charts there. And I'll dive deeper. But this is basically, this shows the relationship with computing power and AI advancement and the deep learning era, which is where it shows increasing the training computation accelerated and sort of reached a doubling every 6 months. And let's dive into the deep learning era starting in 2010. So when we look at this, things started sort of happening around 2017 when some researchers at Google and University of Toronto published a paper and basically introduced the transformer architecture, which basically enabled the creation of the much deeper neural network learning. And these transformer models, are very good at doing what they do, but also they come as a cost. They basically they need so many parameters and so much data to train that the training speed can be slow. So in order to speed that up, you require large amounts of compute power. And basically, a lot of the companies that you've seen make advancement in this area have access to this type of large computing power. And these models have sort of autocorrelative language models, such as GPT-3. And GPT-3, can, unlike some of the examples before that, basically can do many different tasks, and it doesn't require additional training. So you're not training it to do a specific task. It learns by itself, and you don't need to fine tune it when you introduce new things. As an example, it's being used for translation right now, and it's been trained on certain languages. But even if it wasn't trained on that specific new language, somehow, because it's training on the entire World Wide Web data, it learned those languages that even was not, specifically have access to. So this is the type of power that it possesses. So we can also look at the AI and sort of break it into a different category. So we can look at it as tool AI and then agent AI. What's the difference? So tool AI is, again, very task oriented. With a tool AI, basically, you have a human in the loop that makes decision, and it gives an instruction, basically. So the AI is not autonomously deciding and doing things. When we look at the threats and the potential negative impacts or positive impacts of tool AI, in its capabilities, it may be limited, but still very, very powerful. But also on the, the threat side, I guess we can take some comfort in knowing that there is a human in the loop. And what that means is that, even if the tool AI is used to do something bad, the AI didn't make that decision. The human in the loop made that decision. So the human intent is part of it. Like when you look at AlphaFold, DALL-E, Midjourney, you tell it what you want to generate, and it does that, the task you ask it to do. And, so I guess it depends on what you believe about human nature and whether we're good or mostly good or mostly evil, or whether good conquers evil. You can apply that here to this. I want to just maybe just do a specific pause on AlphaFold, because it is a tool AI, but it's a very powerful tool, specifically for protein folding. When it came out, Nature magazine basically said it will change everything. And AlphaFold basically looks at predicting protein structures, which are building blocks of life. And there's several really important examples. But one thing I want to make you think about, this whole model and the way it's being used, AlphaFold, basically the major impact of it is this is changing the method of inventions, changing the pace of invention and the process that we use for innovation and invention. I think beyond its amazing capabilities, this is another big power of this type of tools. these are some of the examples. Now AlphaFold is being used to predict the protein models for COVID-19 mutations. It has been used to deliver specific gene therapy directly to the target area. Same thing, we've been using it for malaria vaccines and treatments for malaria. It's not only in the healthcare, of course, it's been used a lot in healthcare because it's very powerful, but also, finding fast-acting enzymes for recycling things like plastic. And also because of the effectiveness of it and how fast it can do things, it is now possible and cost-effective to look at it for drug development and for rare diseases, which before very little time, energy, or funding would go to this area. Or antibiotic resistance, another very important area of work that's being done with AlphaFold. Now let's look at agent AI. And basically this is creating new people, artificial people, if you like, AI people that will act like us, and they will have some goals, and they can experience the model, and they can create a model of the world that they operate in. And they basically can have ambition, if you would, in accomplishing certain goals, and there's a prize associated with achieving that goal. And when you talk about this type of capability, then you also have to think about the power of it to do good or bad, and how this happens. And there's more than just the capability of the system itself, and that will play into assessing threat and risks, and that is how fast this develops. Right now, a lot of the development of this type of tools also is being done in a way that we're experimenting with it, but really not understanding it. So it's in sort of a black box where, it's learning, it's doing things. We see anomalies, we see them hallucinate, but we don't know what happened and why. So we don't understand it. Sometimes, I hear people, and I like the way they look at AI and say it's not necessarily artificial intelligence, it's almost alien intelligence. It's not replicating us, it's doing things that we don't understand. So it's good to keep that in mind. And whether this is going to result in a dystopian world or a better world, it remains to be seen, but there's a lot of important decision that needs to be made now, and we need to sort of walk into this with eyes open and do the work we do with eyes open, because on one hand, when you look at this type of systems, very powerful, require lots of compute. It means that people who have that type of resources can drive this. So if things happen very fast to a point that people can't understand what's happening, can't get involved in it, can't make right decisions, and then only a few, this is developed and is controlled and decided by only a few, and we get to have like an AI overlords that kills all the other AI systems and models, then it's the dystopian future we see in some of the movies we've seen in Hollywood. But if it's done slower, if it's done with more thought and collaboration, if it's done in a way that the computing power required to train this model is shared, is maybe regulated. I don't know if that's the right way to go about it, but that we don't have a superpower when it comes to this type of technology, then we can perhaps have a more balanced sort of approach to it. So the problem is not a purely scientific question of we should just innovate for the sake of innovation. So when we look at it, not all scientific endeavors, the scientists behind it basically had bad intention, but not thinking or having any decision over the outcome of their scientific endeavors, bad things came from it. If I don't think Einstein ever imagined that his work in uncovering the mysteries of universe will end up being used in building an atomic bomb. So the question of power and the question of how we make decision becomes a very powerful part of the decision-making process. We look at right now, for example, Starlink is one important way of connecting us and working together. But if recently, for good reasons, Starlink shut down one of the, satellites over Ukraine. But imagine someone just doesn't like, a country or the leader or something, and they can take away communication power from them. So there's a power shift in the whole structure of our humanity and the way we operate in our government system, which requires us to really think hard about what's happening. When it comes to agent AI, there are also some interesting things happening, some experiments. This is a recent one with Smallville. Basically, researchers at Stanford and Google use ChatGPT to create a whole new world. So these are, AI people living in this AI world and just observing their behavior. They really created a whole world for themselves. They had parties, they had families, they had commitments. They decided whether, if they were invited and they sent an invitation, for example, to go to a party, they could decide whether they wanted to go or not. So it was really looking at how autonomous they were in decision making. And when they actually looked at some of their decisions, the researchers couldn't understand how they made that decision and why some AI agent would decide to, for example, go to a party or not, or do become friends with another AI and not become friends. They developed gossips. It was fascinating to see how things that you would not imagine in an AI world started manifesting in an AI world. Not surprisingly, they learn a lot of their behaviors from the internet and where they got their data, and they learn from us, and we don't behave properly all the time either. And there's no reason why we should expect them to. The other part of this is that a lot of them are so human-like. So when they interact with us, some people, it's hard for us to remember that they are not sentient beings, and that will become a whole new area of conversation and debate. But they can compel us to treat them like human beings, fall in love with them, get threatened by them, get abused by them. And these are just two examples, extreme examples of what has happened with someone actually committing suicide because of the relationship with their chatbot, or falling in love, or being threatened by them. These are some other examples of agent AI, Dream Fusion, which is capable of basically doing text to 3D images. So you can instruct it, build, raccoons playing cards, poker. So you get these images, or Stable Diffusion, where you can really create lifelike images from text as well. So these are capabilities that will create amazing content in the future. And with that, we will have a hard time telling reality from, false news or false images or false videos that can be generated. This is an extreme example. So AutoGPT was made available to the public, and NFT God used that platform to really create a whole new campaign for 2024 election for a AI agent type hypothetical contender for the elections, and with a full plan of how to help them win, how to promote this, how to fundraise, how to generate content advertisement. And it was quickly teared down because it became very powerful very quickly, and it was scary what happened. But this is what we have something to look forward to for the 2024 election. Not that I'm looking forward to it, frankly, but it's something that we need to be aware of and expect and understand better more widely. And this is another platform for playing games and creating games, which is very powerful. Now let's look at, go a little bit further. So a lot of these examples are sort of intelligence trapped in a computer, in a machine, not human-like. But what if we take it into actually a robot? Let's look at an example here, for example.
MIT researchers have taught a mini cheetah robot to run at record-breaking speeds. But speediness is not its only remarkable trait. Using the learn by experience model, artificial intelligence and machine learning, this robot is capable of responding to changes in environment and terrain while in motion. An adaptive robot that can correct their own mistakes may allow robots to build more diverse skills and functions.
Now remember, some of those autonomous weapons, some of these dogs are being used by military. Imagine a weapon on top of that dog, and it can learn, it can do things, it can make decisions. It can be also a good watchdog and help people as well. This is another example just a few days ago released by Optimus from Tesla. So this is an example of a general purpose robot. So it wasn't built to specifically do a task, but it can do many tasks, and it can be very intelligent as well. Now let's take it further. Let's bring computing to our brain, add capabilities to our brain with computer-brain interface, and how it can help augment or help us regain some abilities that we've lost. We've seen this used, with helping people who've lost body function to be able to read their brain activity and make a robotic arm, for example, perform a task to help patients live better, more independent lives. It's been used in regaining vision and in artificial retinas and helping people see again. It has been used by DARPA also with veterans who have lost limbs and be able to still control devices and things through a brain-computer interface. Neuralink made a demonstration of how even doesn't have to be humans. It can be done with, bringing computers and computer intelligence to animals like a monkey and see them play Pong. Now computers can read our brain waves and actually see what we see. So this is basically, if you're dreaming and we're seeing something. So on the top, those are the actual images that someone was looking at. The bottom is the computer interpretation of what the human was seeing. We also can, create a network of humans and computers all connected together in a network. It may, if you're a Trekkie, it may remind you of the Borg, the collective. Yes, it sounds and will be like that. We're talking about now, think about CRISPR technology and how we can edit our gene and, of course, use it for, treating diseases, but also it can be used to customize humans. And now, how far do we take that technology? How would we augment ourselves? Would we think of a future where we can become Borgs where we are all connected. We're connected to the computer, to the artificial intelligence. We're connected together, and our bodies are augmented as well. Now let's add another layer, another set of questions to this. So some people believe that there is a limit to how technology can develop and how fast it can develop. But let's add quantum computing to this. Classic computers basically ride on Moore's law, but when we add quantum computing, it goes beyond conventional computing and with a different capabilities. So unlike classical computer that processes zeros and ones, quantum computer basically take advantage of quantum physics and the superposition and the Schrodinger cat. It can be dead or alive at the same time. So it can ride another exponential gain. So and it can blow your mind because each qubit, which is the units they use, not bits, but it's qubits, can basically represent 2 states at once. So 2 qubits can represent 4 states to the power of 2. 3 qubits can represent 8 states to the power of 3, and so on and so forth. So just with 64 qubits, you get to potential to represent to the power of 64, which is 18 billion states. So you can see how the power of these things are going to increase over time, and what it means to bring quantum computing to this. Now add artificial intelligence to this type of computing and the power they have in the future. And IBM has just talked about delivering a 10,000 qubit machine by 2024. We'll see. That will be incredible, mind-blowing, and I can't wait to see what it will accomplish. And not only that, even in the classical computers, we're looking at new materials. Some of these capabilities we talked about, it's allowing to create new materials, and these materials can be used to create new chipsets and additional capability. We've also demonstrated that we can grow organs and we can grow brains. And if we think that human brain actually is a very efficient, low power, massive computing platform, well, maybe we'll grow brains that can be used as basis for our computing. So all this to say, there is a lot of lines that will be blurred and are already blurring for us. Initial implementations of AIs were task-oriented, then automation tasks came, talked about tool AIs and applications of that, and then how agent AIs are coming about. And basically, the powerful uses of AI will create system-wide change, and system-wide change can be very disruptive. And also, they bring about power shift. So there are lots of large companies who were built on from the ground up on these models. So they're not like traditional industries, and they're riding this wave, and they can ride it very efficiently. Large language models possess a massive amount of power. Also, they require a massive amount of computing, and these companies are also the ones who really have a leg up on riding this wave. So these are things that we need to remember, and also remember that basically this we're playing around with something that is possessing the sum of human knowledge with a computing power that is 100,000 times faster than human brain. And it appears at least to be thinking, making judgments, and they may not be aware of themselves, but they can really build a model of the world and based on the collective knowledge that we have. So, we don't know what this world that they're creating looks like. So it's interesting to know. So this is actually through the Dungeons AI world. One of the reporters asked ChatGPT, what does it say about humanity that we use most powerful AI to generate stories about dragons? That is precisely what basically he asked ChatGPT. And this is the conversation they had. So what does it say about humanity that we use this powerful AI to generate stories about dragons? And ChatGPT said, we must have dragons. You said, the imagination is more important than the reality. Would we find wonder and magic in this world if we didn't have dragons? I suppose not. GPT-3. Without imagination, we are merely machines executing a set of instructions. With imagination, we are alive. Reporter, thank you. Before I leave, I want to ask you, how can human create a true strong AI? Is scaling up a transformer-based language model the solution, or is there a better way? Well, the key to a strong AI is recursively feeding the AI with itself. Start by creating loop where the AI writes its own programming and then has the programming activate. So I see, is that how you gain sentience? And the GPT-3 said yes. So think about that. It's telling us, let me program myself, and it will be the most effective way to do this. And at least it thinks in the way that AI can think, that this is, this is this sentient. So I know I probably created some fear, but I want to end by, with this and a video that I'm going to share with you. Yes, we should be fearful. Yes, we should be cautious. But I also know that anytime we make decisions out of fear, that they don't end well. That this is a powerful tool. We're still in control. And we still can decide how we use it. And we use it as a tool, something that we don't want to relinquish control, but we want to do it collectively, collaboratively. We want to do it equitably. We don't want people to be left behind. We don't want our biases and our problems to make it into what we're building together, because probably this, at least so far, it's one of the most powerful things we've built as human beings. So this is why I love this quote by Nelson Mandela: "May your choices reflect your hopes, not your fears." Now, I want to just share this last video with you. It's a video of my journey to space, and maybe just showing that, for someone coming from Iran, doing what I did, it may seem impossible. So there are lots of impossible things out there, but it can come to be real, and it just requires our hard work and focused attention. So let me share this video with you.
I grew up wanting to go to space. I wanted to be an astronaut. I was about 7, 8 years old that I drew this picture. I'm from Iran. I was born in Iran, a place that didn't have a space program. No one took me seriously, but I knew I would make it happen. Lo and behold, 2006, I did it. I went to space. This journey's been wonderful. As a young child, I would sleep outside summer nights in my grandparents' balcony, and I would gaze at the night skies. I would look at the stars and wonder, what's out there? Are there other beings out there? It was sort of a place I could let my imagination go wild and look up there and imagine new worlds. Imagination is a very, very unique gift we have as human beings. And as we grow up, we forget about it. You can make the future whatever you want it to be. So you can imagine your future.
Thank you. It's been wonderful to share all this data and information, do a big download. Hopefully you took away some great lessons.
Wow. Oh, Mary, you're muted.
I didn't think I would do this today, but I did. I'm back.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Anousheh. That was amazing. There's so much to think about here, and I love that you are saying and bringing up kind of the scary parts of technology jumps. But I think as technologists and developers responsible for building the tech, we have to think about these things now. And as said with our eyes open, that's collectively, collaboratively, and equitably, because we are in the driver's seat, and the applications and the amazing tools that AI can bring to better, ourselves, humanity, especially in the healthcare industry. I could go on and on and on, but I think, that this is really, really important conversation to have. So, Rob.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I want to echo everything Mary just said. Your presentation was just amazing. I loved it. I also hope you are alive in 2045. I'm sure you will be. And I want that Optimus robot. I thought it was just super cute. I got to have one of those. I think that I haven't thanked our producer here yet, but Gabriel Peterson, who's live producing this, like I think one of the things he wants in his life more than anything is a robot to basically help him out with all the tasks around the house. And I think that robot's almost there. Yeah. Yeah, a little bit. But yeah, so I think we should dive into these questions we have, right? Are you okay with that, Anousheh?
100%. Let's do it.
Excellent. So, Mary, should I take that first one from Zach Loshik?
Yeah, go for it. Yep,
okay,
do it.
So we've had some questions come in through Discord. We kind of posted, the prompt in our Discord over the weeks. This one comes from Zach Loshik on Discord. He asks, how do you envision the intersection of space exploration and generative AI shaping the future? One question, could AI-powered solutions help overcome deep space mission challenges or even building new civilizations on other planets?
Yes, yes, and yes. The first simplest thing, which is already happening and will be more powerful with generative AI, is we have been collecting tremendous amount of data over the years, and not enough power and attention and human attention in actually analyzing this data or even knowing what we look for. So the same way AlphaFold is making a difference in the protein folding area, I think just unleashing generative AI on the data we've collected and continue to collect to learn new things that we don't even know how to look for, I think would be amazing. This is part of that innovation tool that I was talking about. And I talked about augmentation. I talked about how really exploring, the space will require, our bodies are not made to be in space for too long. So in order for us to be able to spend a long time in space, we need to think about how we will survive, how we would live, how do we supply our energy and food and all the other stuff. So I think, again, AI can play a role in that. And then there's some short-term applications that I'm excited about. How do we take some of our businesses, some of our industries, some of the things that are on Earth and actually take them to orbit? How do we create new materials that can be better material for what we want to build in space, large structures in space? So these are some of the applications that I think AI can play a big role for us there.
Thank you. And hopefully that answers your question there, Zach.
Yeah, and moving on to the next one, Taiziz asks, what do you know to be the weaknesses of building generative AI systems and where researcher improvements are urgently needed in order to perform more complex tasks in different sectors? So I guess the different applications.
So maybe I'll use two ideas there. One is biases. So we really need to find a way to recognize biases, and I think AI itself can be helpful in that area. How we do it, it's something that perhaps is a good area of focus for some of the scientists. But recognizing biases, flagging biases, removing biases, I think it's a powerful area of work for us. And also really, a lot of times what's happening, it's learning in a black box model. So finding ways for us to understand how AI is training itself, how it's actually improving and developing itself. By understanding it better, I think we can develop it more with full mind of what we want it to do. Our brain is something that we don't understand how our brain works, and we are still trying to understand intelligence and sentience and all these things about ourselves. And now you're adding an alien sort of model. So truly imagine this, that this is not something we built, and it's actually an alien that we're trying to understand and build. So how can we better understand it? And this will help us. And then slowing down a bit, I think we're not in a hurry to build this. So actually, I think stepping back and defining methods that we can develop this, again, as I said, more collaboratively, more cautiously, with full mind of what we wanted to do, it's an important steps in the future development of AI.
Awesome.
For sure. Awesome.
Okay, so we do have a few more questions. I know we're getting to the top of the hour, so we won't hold you too much longer here. This one comes from Waydo on Discord, and this is, I'm guessing their perspective on the matter. Says, I work on the side of AI at the edge, and I fear that everything is moving to clouds in the era of LLMs, meaning large language models. What roles can edge computing play, and how can we find a good trade-off between edge and cloud computing?
It's interesting. I haven't thought about this, to be honest, but what I can imagine is, the way edge was developed, and maybe I use IoT models. There is certain tasks that can be done. It's more frequent task. It's more frequent, perhaps, activities that it can be done at the edge. And only when it gets too complicated or the set of data becomes too edge is when we go to compute. Right now, I think a lot of this is dependent on cloud computing. I think usually we went from cloud to edge once we understood what we want to do. So I think we're at the phase of development where identifying what can be done at the edge versus cloud is not clear. But I think that may be also a pathway to really distribute this work and bring, not give advantage to just a few handful of companies, and really bring more people to be able to play and create and play a role in the future of development of generative AI models.
Yeah, so I think when we were kind of vetting this question, Mary, you're saying, like, I think I agree with Mary, is that it seems that computing is actually moving in the opposite direction, like you just mentioned, Anousheh, in terms of more compute at the edge, more compute at the endpoint, and so it's actually moving towards the endpoint, right, Mary? I think we were kind of talking about that when we were looking at the question.
I think it will. It's as the power and the processing is able to handle these more complex workloads at the edge. People are going to want them offline and not always connected to the cloud, but they're, like you say, Anousheh, there's going to be that balance. And also, I think, the democratization of this technology for the edge is important too. So it's not like all the cloud companies, for reasons, might want to keep it in the cloud, right? So we need to, give people the ability to create these applications on the edge when they, for whatever use cases that they're looking for. So, yeah. I think we might have time for one more question. Rob, are we good with that, or no?
Quick, Mary, I do want to bring up one comment from Nitin Main on our Discord about this question as well. And he says model pruning and quantization is one good optimization for improving performance, biased to the trade-off. So, I mean, just to bring that up as well. Yeah, to ask Mary's question, Anousheh, do you have time for one more question, or do you want us to close this out?
Let's do one more.
All right, one more, Mary.
Okay, awesome. And this is from Elon, and this is about XPRIZE. So she says that I used to be friends with Peter Diamandis and have always enjoyed hearing about all the challenges in the world he wishes to improve. How does XPRIZE choose where to focus out of all of those challenges?
Great question. So we do this with a group of people who we call our brain trusts. We have scientists, researchers, science fiction writers, people in the industry who are focused and working on advancing innovation toward the good of humanity. And we've developed a process where we look at sort of creating targets for ourselves for 2045 and where we want this world of abundant, equitable future to be or look like, let's say in energy or in health or in food in 2045. So when we describe these things in a very specific terms, that becomes our target. And then we decide what do we need to do, what innovation and breakthroughs do we need to accelerate to make sure that we don't go off track and that we go toward this deliberate future that we want to build. And that's how we decide which one of these prizes are important and things that XPRIZE should work on. So we practice what I was just talking about, that we need to have targets. We need to become architects of our own future and not just, let it happen to us.
Fantastic. Awesome. I can't wait to learn more. I'm going to go over to the XPRIZE website and see how I can get involved. And, really want to thank you, Anousheh, for this inspiring presentation. I'm sad it's over. I could listen to you probably all day. So I will go watch this again. And it's been such a great conversation. And, I'm also hoping to be alive in 2045 and beyond, because it's so great to see where this is all going to go. So thank you.
Thank you so much. And I hope all the people who've been listening now, they have all their ideas how we can really focus this energy, this powerful energy we created, this powerful tool we created toward doing good, because then we will live in a, utopian future, which we will all be very happy about.
Excellent. Yes. Well said. And so, Anousheh, with your permission, I would like to close this out, our inaugural ARM TV episode. Is that okay?
Yes, of course. Let's do it.
Okay. All right. Perfect. So on behalf of ARM, the ARM Developer Program, we would like to thank each and every one of you, and would like to also thank you all for attending. Like, once again, you could have spent this hour anywhere else, and here you are with us. So huge thanks to you all for watching. And, again, as Mary said, to you, Dr. Ansari, for being with us. It's just been great. I want to remind everyone who's watching, whether you're watching live right now, right after this episode, or on demand, check out XPRIZE and all the great work that Dr. Ansari, her team are doing around the world. Don't miss our upcoming ARM TV episode with Runman Chowdhury on October 19th at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. Next month's episode will be all about democratizing AI and how developers are hacking AI to shape the future of humanity for decades to come. It covers the potential of AI and how it saves lives, turbocharging productivity, and the advancements in research of scientific breakthroughs. So, definitely don't miss this one. Be sure to check out the ARM Developer Program at arm.com/developer program. And of course, the ARM Developer Hub at arm.com/developer-hub. Let's bring up that XPRIZE website one more time, Gabe. And XPRIZE.com. That's the place to go right now after this episode.
Go there.
Don't forget to check that out. Read all about all the cool stuff. And we look forward to seeing you all next month. Once again, thank you, Dr. Ansari. We'll see you next time. Have a wonderful day, everyone.
Bye, everybody.